Hello, this is Sean from Caffewerks, and today we're taking a look at the road case espresso cart build out, as well as the installation of a complete cart's component package, pitcher insert, and electrical panel. The first thing we're going to be doing is punching some holes into the countertop so we can get things routed. All right, so first steps after you got the pitcher insert installed in the countertop is to actually go ahead and install the valve. So you got fitting for the bottom, the rinser star, and the valve. You want the washer, the large silicone washer, to be underneath, the smaller silicone O-ring to be on top. All right, there's that O-ring inside there. And so that's just gonna drop down into your hole. Metal washer underneath your silicone, create a nice seal for the valve. So we have Nibex parallel pliers here. Go ahead and snug that fitting down. It's not crazy tight, but you do want to compress the silicone. The spin jet portion is already installed. And so you're gonna hold on to the upper portion of the rinser there. So unthread it. There is a wavy washer, crush washer, that's going to go on top of your activation star. So drop the activation star down. That wavy crush washer is placed down to then help prevent the spin jet portion from backing off during use. All right, so we're going to zone in on the water pump system itself. The installation tools I'll be using for the components on that pitcher insert, as well as a couple others in the water pump system, are those parallel pliers from Nibex, as well as just lockjaw pliers, also Nibex. When it comes to the tubing, utilization of a tubing cutter, which we have on our website, is key. It's going to keep that cut of the tubing square, which allows positive engagement to the O-ring inside our push fit fittings. If you don't have that tubing cutter, something like a razor knife, and just making sure you're doing a straight cut perpendicular to the tubing. All right, so show you some of the tubing cuts. We're going to pull out our tubing from the Espresso Machine install kit. This is just our 3/8 beverage tubing in a cool blue. So the cutter snaps right over, and you just get a nice clean square cut. All right, to start, we're going to be mounting this low volume system on the wall of this cart, after which we'll go over these push fit fittings and start running some plumbing to both the espresso machine and the pitcher rinser. We're placing it here just for ease of access for the on-off there, just right inside the door. And then we're going to go ahead and mount the electrical panel on the flip side of the cabinet. And we've already piloted holes through this nice divider wall for both the plumbing and the wiring. Go ahead and get both the kits for the pitcher insert and the espresso machine out. All right, so running out of our pump system here, I'm going to run a short length of tubing so I can place in the T that comes with the pitcher insert water install kit. And this will allow half that water to be diverted off to the pitcher insert. So making those cuts in that tubing cutter, clean and sharp, nice and square. Installation of the tubing into the fittings is just pressing firmly into it. And you can feel it engage into those O-rings, and then you have a secure connection. You just push it into that far side of the accumulator where the output will be. In this instance, we're doing a water filter that has a flow direction listed on them. This we're running after the T because we only want this filtered water to go to the espresso machine, not necessary for when you're just rinsing your cups. Filters have an option of a mounting clip, which which mounts with just a single screw. Utilize that guy, get it mounted on the wall. So keep the flow of direction right. These water filters do come with plugs in them. So you can kind of just push down that gray collar, pull out the plug on both sides. 3 inches. Same deal. It's gonna press fit straight into that filter. Feel it engage. Come up, press into the far side of that T. Snap it into that holder. All right. Due to some space restraints in our setup here, we are going to utilize some 90-degree stem elbows for both the pickup tube and the corner up here from the water filter, as well as off the bottom of the pitch rinser. So on that far side of the water filter, pickup tube as well. So we've got our pump on the wall, we've got our rinser fitting on the bottom with a 90-degree angle. We have a T after the output from our pump. And so now we are going to use the rest of the pitch rinser water install kit and some length of tubing to put it all together. So the rest of the pieces in your kit here, after that T, are going to be a check valve. This is going to prevent any water from the valve flowing back into your pump system. So this is needed by most food service to keep things sanitary. And also an on-off valve. This is going to aid us in the installation of the whole system when we go to set up the water itself. It's really nice to have on-off valves to prevent water from going places you don't want it to. And give ourselves a nice clean cut to start with. We're going to push it onto that T we've installed in the back corner there. Push fit. I always like to do the on-off valve in line, then to the check valve before you run out to whatever piece of equipment you've got. We're gonna go ahead and cut it about halfway there as we're approaching. We're gonna push fit the on-off valve on that tubing. Give it another couple inch piece. We're gonna put that check valve. The red collet on the end there denotes the exit from the system. So there's also an arrow to suggest the flow of water. Presses on, hold it up to where we need to go. Get a decent measure for your last piece of tubing you need to install. Press into that check valve and then press into that 90-degree stem elbow underneath the cart. At this point, I always like to just turn off that valve, just so when we do go to fire up the system, we're not running water directly where we need it. First, we can test things. All right, so we got water, pressurized water eventually run into our pitch rinser. Now we're gonna look at the Espresso Machine install kit. Moving on to the Espresso Machine install kit. Also comes with 3 fittings. You're gonna have your on-off valve, your check valve, and in this case, we're looking at installing a rocket machine for this demo, which utilizes one of our standard fittings. So once again, I like to run the on-off to the check to the fitting. So we're just gonna assemble that above ground here before we press it into the fitting after the filter that we've already installed. On-off valves also have an arrow direction if ever you're confused. We're just gonna give ourselves a little extra length there, utilize that whole piece. Push onto there, check valve piece, push onto there. Easy as 1, 2, 3. So this, I'm just making a preset length right now. Reason being, your espresso machine is gonna come with a braided water inlet hose. That hose is generally 36 to 40 inches long. We're just gonna leave that stock hose there, but what we'll eventually do is bundle it up next to our plumbing here and just tightly tie it up against the back of the wall. So you have a lot of room to play with the Espresso Machine insulation. So on the back side of this, it's going to go to that outlet from the water filter, which in the case of this road case is through the hole. All right, so we got that Espresso Machine fitting up through the countertop now. Eventually we'll actually tuck this back under, but for the time being, we can leave it right there. Next steps we're gonna be looking at is installing the drain to the pitch rinser, the electrical, which we'll install on the far side, and then we'll set the Espresso Machine on top and look at getting everything fired up, seeing how it's working. Down underneath the cart, it just presses right up on that drain fitting, and then take your flathead or your 5/16 driver, and you're just gonna tighten that hose clamp down like so. For now, we're just gonna run our hose uncut for the time being while we're testing out our system into our waste container. Waste containers always need to be at least 15% larger than your fresh container. That way you can catch all that runoff. So just to mock it up right now, we're just gonna stick that in there so we can get this thing fired up. We'll get it trimmed up and cleaned up later. So our electrical panels here, this is a 110 panel. Run enough power for your grinder, your 110 machine, and whatever accessories you might have, like a puck press. We've already removed the 4 screws from the lid here and pre-drilled our panel with holes in the back of the unit, and we're going to mount it up on the wall just opposite of the pump system. So I prepped 1 screw in the corner there, get our driver on there, and shift my grip. Alright. Again, there's 4 screws that'll hold this to the side of the wall here. We're placing this on the opposite side of the water pump, but also near the front of the door, so there's easy access to plug in your equipment. So we're gonna go ahead and just put the cover back on the front using the 4 screws provided. All right, so we've got our machine roughly in place here. We're gonna run our power cord down through that hole, but first we're going to finish up running that plumbing from that standard Espresso Machine kit into your machine. So this just being a straight pipe thread fitting, we will want to tape it with some PTFE thread tape. So we'll bust that out, go around the fitting in a clockwise fashion. At least 3 wraps. That's what Blue Monster here recommends for keeping things tight. And then we're just gonna thread our braided hose machine fitting straight on. I like utilizing these Knipex parallel pliers to grab the plastic fittings. Nice positive engagement on those. And to grab a quick crescent as well. And tighten that on down. We'll go ahead and get this tucked back down into the system there. Leave that braided steel hose up above for now, since we're just testing our complete system, so it won't be the final install. Electrical cord down in the system as well. And then we'll sort out the drain for the machine. So we're just gonna sort out a quick drain, temporary drain for the Espresso Machine so we can test our system. We're gonna thread that onto the back of the machine here. Push up and in. And we'll run down through the top. waste tank. So right now we have both of our drains run into our waste tank. Right now they're both left alone for while we're just testing the system, but do need to make sure that they're secure enough so that we can do so. This drain running out from the pitch rinser, and this drain running down from our espresso machine. So there's no limit to the amount of tidiness that this can become, but for this installation video, we're just doing it straightforward and clean it up later. So we pretty much have everything installed here. We're just gonna run power to the system through our power panel, just a light version, just through one side of it. So I'll go ahead and get the power supply for that pump plugged in, as well as the espresso machine itself. Then we'll run a splitter into our power panel, and we're just gonna run one side of that panel for now, just while we're utilizing a small amount of power. So this 4-prong outlet here, plug into our panel. This here is our 110 panel splitter. So this unit in particular, if you're looking to use both sides of the panel to its full capacity, will need to be run to different breakers within the building. For the time being, we're just gonna run one side, so we're not gonna stress it too much. Once again, if you're pulling full power off, these 2 pigtails for the split need to be run to different breakers. All right, go in and flip on the main and flip on our outlet we're using. When the water pump first kicks on, it's gonna purge the system of air. So we're gonna go to that pitch rinser, we're gonna turn that valve open. You can hear it start drawing more water. And then we're gonna grab a cup just to activate our rinser. Should start to build up pressure in the accumulator. Once we bleed that air out of there. All right, so we got the air out of the system. Our pinch rinser is currently active. Still a little bit of air in there. There we go. So fully functioning. And let's make sure we crank on our machine, which already had some water preloaded into it. I just had it set up. And same thing. Either turn on your group or your hot water tap just to purge any air out of the system that there might be. Sure that our drain is sitting pretty. Yep, so you can see some air leaving the system right there. All right, machine charged back up. And now we're just in the heating process of the machine. Got plenty of water to your pitch rinser and the espresso machine. And at this point, kind of the waiting game to get everything else set up. And you'll be pulling espresso in no time. Hope you found this video helpful. If you have any other questions, definitely reach out to us at our website, caffewerks.com, or our social media, Caffewerks. This video showcased a complete cart systems installation. We also offer custom builds depending on your need, so definitely reach out to us. Thanks.